You can build the business, the career, and the life you once imagined, and still realize that somewhere along the way, you disappeared from the picture. For many high performers, success becomes a cycle of pushing, producing, and proving. But what happens when achievement begins to cost us our energy, well being, and joy? Today, Melinda Cohan invites us to rethink burnout, perfectionism, self care, and what it means to create sustainable success. Not by lowering our expectations, but by reconnecting with ourselves and learning to create from a place of being rather than constant doing. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan. This show is all about bringing hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom through meaningful conversations that inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and have a positive impact on humanity. This is your space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with who you are, what you care about, and who you want to be. We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. Today, I am speaking with Melinda Cohan. Melinda is a speaker, coach, business mentor, sound healing practitioner, and three-time author who has helped more than 120,000 coaches, entrepreneurs, and leaders create profitable, sustainable businesses they love. Her latest book, Sustainable Success, challenges the outdated script on achievement and offers a radically different approach to high performance, one that protects well-being, energy, and joy. She's also the author of The Confident Coach and The Professional Coach. Melinda founded the Coach's Console, growing it into a multi-million-dollar company before successfully selling the business. And today, she's the co-founder of Inscape International, creating immersive transformational experiences around the world while integrating her work as a sound healing practitioner. She is passionate about helping people reconnect with themselves and creating lives that feel as meaningful as they are successful. Melinda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so great to be here, and I'm excited for our conversation today.
You apparently cannot stop creating.
I
You
know.
are
It's what I
creating
love.
and creating and creating. Okay, I want to go on the I want to go on the creating. We're gonna talk about creation, but I want to start back with some to give people some context of the powerful metaphor the picture that you paint about the picture that you saw, about what was this sort of wake up moment for you that turned into a transformational shift in your own awareness and
Mm,
how you live and work.
yeah. Um, it was this vision that it's like one of those moments where somebody somehow hit the pause button on the universe, and it was just me for what felt like, I don't know, 30 seconds. I don't even know how much time passed. But I saw this exquisite, very ornate painting, life-size painting in front of me. And I quickly realized that it was, at the time, my husband, now my ex, but my husband, our dog, our yard, the house, the work, the job, the friends, everything was just so beautiful. The frame was beautiful. It was as if the paintbrush was still in my hand and the paint was dripping off of it like it had just been freshly created. But in the middle, next to my, at the time, husband, was just this gray silhouette of a figure. And that's when I realized that I had painted the perfect picture, but I forgot to paint myself into it. And I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I didn't even know how to begin doing that or creating that place. But that's what I got busy exploring. And then from there, my life took right turn and let's go this way. And it's been a dramatically different experience from that point.
A lot of us there's fear about change, but we get to a place where a recent guest described it as, the fear of staying the same outweighed the fear of changing. And I was
Yeah.
wondering, where you were on that continuum.
Yeah, I actually experienced that. That was the point that I got to, that exact definition. right before I sold the business. I mean, I had created success with the Coaches Console. It was at its peak of its success. And I just had this feeling of, I've taken it as far as I know how to take it. And we spent about a year at a plateau. Now, that's not bad. We were at a multi-million-dollar business, great team, amazing clients, doing big impact work. And there wasn't anything I could do to move the needle. And I got to that point where I knew, I don't know what's next, but I can't keep being like this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that exactly outweighed. It's like, okay, and then I just kept remembering Deepak Chopra's, the realm of uncertainty is where all possibilities exist. And so instead of, like, when I got to that point where it can't keep being like this. Not that it was bad. I just knew that it had come to a completion. And I was like, if I keep doing that, we're about to go in a downward trajectory, and I'm going to have to start forcing a lot of things and making things happen. And that is not who I am. It's not how I show up. And so I'm like, nope, not willing to do that. And so now, instead of fear of the change or fear of the unknown, it's like, ooh, I wonder what's out there. Let's see, like, what's the possibility that we're going to run into, or that's going to encounter me, and then it became this really great research, almost like a research project of curiosity instead of
Mm-hmm.
fearing change or fearing the unknown. And that was a way more fun journey than otherwise.
Wonder. Yeah, I think of the curiosity and the
Yeah.
wonder about what's next.
Yeah.
You've worked your book is about about, in some respects, preventing burnout,
Yeah.
self-care, your latest book, self-care,
Yeah.
um, in order to be resilient and ultimately thrive and, have it all, have, the life you want and the business you want. And as I was reading it and now listening to you, I'm reflecting on my own arc and the difference between burnout, which I have experienced, and also when what I think that you just described, which is pre burnout, which is listening to your body, listening to your soul, which is when you just realize, like, I can't do this anymore, or I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm being called to something else, even though that I don't know what it is yet. And so, can you say a little bit about how those fit together in terms of the knowing, the feeling that something has to change versus waiting too long, to the forcing, to the
Yeah.
grinding, to the then
Yeah.
collapsing, crashing?
Yeah. And it may just be uh, not doing it the way I'm doing it right now. Maybe you keep doing the same thing you're doing. Maybe you keep doing the same job or the same business or the same passion project, whatever it is for you. But there has to be a different iteration of it. And it's time for that evolution to occur. And I, when I think about burnout, most people, and when I started writing my book, this was one of the core things that I really wanted to get across. Most people think about burnout as exhaustion, face planting, um, burning the candle, both ends of this, like all of those kind of cliches. And one of my friends described burnout, and when she said it like this, I'm like, that's really what we're doing here. Because there's so many things out there that talk about better time management or greater production, but you're still forcing and squeezing and making it happen.
Mhm.
But when she defined burnout, she said burnout is losing the ability to do the thing that you're meant to do with joy. When the joy is gone, it's not even about, exhaustion happens when we've lost the joy way back on the trail, but we kept going. When we keep going, exhaustion happens, the face plant happens, disease happens. The universe is getting our attention somehow to say, alert, alert, time out. But if we back up, like you said, that pre burnout, the indicator is losing that joy. Is there
Mhm.
still joy in all aspects? Not, well, let me just get through this and then I'll get back to the joy. but is every aspect of what you're doing, whether it's in a job or career or business or team or whatever is in your life, are you experiencing joy even in the hard things about it, even in the dark moments, even in the effort that requires the actions that are necessary? Is there joy? And when that's the case, keep moving forward. And that's where self-care becomes that strategic advantage, because that's what protects our joy. So we can show up as the best version of ourselves. We can bring all of us, body,
Hmm.
mind, heart, soul, spirit, to what we're doing, not just our intellect, not just our effort, but all of us. And that's where beyond our wildest dreams, that's a phrase that I have in my community, and that's how I want to live my life, is every aspect beyond my wildest dreams. And it doesn't mean there's not dark moments or heavy or grief. Like, all of those heavier emotions absolutely still exist, but we expand our capacity to navigate them with the
Hmm.
higher vibing emotions and experiences. And so we can live that life inside all of our experiences, but it's that precursor. How do we
Hmm.
protect our joy?
Yeah, I'm thinking of a Dalai Lama uh, concept saying of we can be okay even when our life situation is not okay, and
Hmm.
I'll change that to joy. Even like we could
Yeah,
have joy even when our life situation is not okay, and that's
yeah.
that challenge of detachment and not internalizing who we are with what is happening, and knowing that we can still
Hmm.
choose who we are and how we want to be and how we want to show up regardless of what's going on around us.
Yeah, and then I think we have more bandwidth, more energy, more intellect, more emotional capacity to navigate heavier situations, darker times, as well as exciting, thrilling times. And our life, our business, our careers, they don't become this peaks and valleys of experience, but it's this beautiful flowing wave that we get to just ride continuously as a result.
You had a transition in your understanding and embodying of success. And so, what was the before idea of success, and how do you
Mm.
see it now?
The success for many years of my business, I had it for 21 years, started it from an idea on a napkin, bootstrapped it, built it from the ground up. And so for most of those years, it was about the doingness aspect
Mhm.
of strategy, tactics, hacks. Like, what do I need to do to create an outcome? And so it was really about the doing. And there was this, when I first started getting into coaching, some of my early experience was with Dale Carnegie. And they had this phrase, and at the time it was so perfect for me just starting out. And this phrase they said was, "If it's got to be, it's up to me." And I was like, yes, I'm starting a business. I'm a control freak. That absolutely is, that's it right there. If it's got to
Mhm.
be, it's up to me. And so I was like, all right, what do I got to do? And so that's what success looked like, was the results and the benefits that came from the doingness of things. And that was great. And what I learned along the way was self-care, because I was watching all of my colleagues faceplant, get exhausted, lose their joy, have resentment towards their passion or their business partners. And I was like, wait, no, that isn't, I do not want to experience that. So before I ever even encountered it, I'm like, what do I need to put in place to protect myself? I didn't know it at the time, but to protect my joy. I didn't have those words at the time. But how do I need to show up? What does it need to look like? So that's not my level of, I don't want that success. I want to have the monetary level of success, but I don't want that to be the ramification of it. And so I committed to doing it differently. And that's where self care became the way that I filled myself up to overflow. And I learned that I was my greatest advantage. my greatest asset in my business. My list, yes, important. My team, vital. Clients, absolutely a part of it. But I am my greatest asset. And if I'm not giving of my overflow, I'm doing a disservice to my clients. I'm not providing the team with what they need to succeed. And everything is just a quiet, slow ripple effect in the background. And so I began filling myself up so I could answer the question, how do I need to be while I'm doing all these things? And that put me on a trajectory for the next, gosh, probably 10, 12 years, where I began to experience the beingness of success. And that has really, when I retired from my business a year ago now, um, I wanted to create from being. That had been in my meditations for about a year. You've done the create from doing. You did that really well. You didn't burn out. You created a lot of great success. Now let's create from being. And it took me about a year. I'm like, my brain, the synapses in my brain I was like, I don't even know what that means. I would sit at my desk and I just like, I don't know how to not do. So it took the better part of a year to just kind of undo the synapses and like, okay, well, that's not it. And then start realizing what is it that I want to experience on a daily basis? How do I want to be right now? What do I need to experience to bring my vibration up to this state of beingness? Because from there, amazing things can be created. And that's what you said at the very beginning. You're a creator, and I am. I used to be a creator from doing. Now I'm a creator from being. And it does not mean that I'm sitting on the hilltops, on the mountains and just doing nothing. There is still a lot of action. There's still a lot of activity. There's still a lot of tasks. It's sourced from a different place. So it's about create from being is what success looks like and experiences now.
Which is so counterintuitive for achievers. It's so
I know.
counterintuitive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a high performer. I am a recovering perfectionist. I'm a control freak. There was
Yep.
this one point, my business partner and I, we were at a retreat, and we used to joke about my perfectionism. And she was like, "Oh, there's your perfectionism getting in the way." And we were just like, "Oh, ha ha ha." We were joking and laughing about it. And I was right there laughing with her. And one of my colleagues stepped forward and she's like, "Hold on a second. You don't want Melinda to lose her perfectionism. That's what's creating the high standards that's generating the success y'all are experiencing." And in that moment, in a flash, I knew the difference. I was like, perfectionism is fear driven. I
Hmm.
don't want to ever lose my high expectations, my high standards that I have them of myself, my family, my team, my clients, my dog. I never want to lose the high expectations. But I don't want to, that's that's love based. I don't want to be in fear based. And that was a big distinction to
Yeah,
keep those high expectations, but not dropping into the fear.
totally. So, I am also a perfectionist in recovery that many listeners know. And so I share this journey with you. And something that was really helpful for me, which I think is just another way of looking at exactly the distinction that you made for yourself, and I've used a lot with clients over the years, is the difference between perfectionism and striving for excellence. Whereas
Hmm.
perfectionism in its negative form, which it often can be, like you said, fear based and fear of failure and fear,
Yeah.
like lots of fear, lots of judgment, lots of critic. Whereas that striving for excellence is how can I be the best versions of myself at the highest level with failing along the way to
Yes.
getting to that place that I am pushing to get to.
Yeah. The perfectionist in me, when I heard another friend of mine, Susan Garrett, she is world renowned agility dog trainer. We were in a mastermind together for a number of years, all of us building our businesses. And she said this phrase, and she said it hundreds of times: you either win or learn.
Mhm.
And the perfectionist in me was like, okay, I can calm down now that the overachiever, the high achiever in me that has those high standards, striving for excellence, I was like, oh, I can make mistakes. I can mess up. It doesn't mean I failed. I win or learn. So I didn't win this time. Let me learn. What can I learn? And I got really good at learning. And that kept me out of that perfectionist trap. And I realized that the perfectionism was showing up. It was a like a symptom or an indicator that I was actually in survival mode. I was operating in that state. I wasn't in my executive state anymore. And so that win or learn choice, that mantra helped me to just let the perfectionist kind of fade off into the sunset. And I don't think I'll ever drop recovering from that phrase because
Right,
it's
right.
she's always right there.
Yes.
But it's been a journey.
Yeah. Well, that's it's a wonderful thing to get distance from and some space from. And any of us who relate to that know, man, it's this silent, invisible monster that like just that goes
Yeah,
with us everywhere until we actually realize it's a thing. I mean, just realizing perfectionism is a thing that we
yeah,
might be able to get some space from. That to me, that's half the battle, but the other half is still it's still not easy. It takes a lot of intention and
yeah,
cultivation, and I love the idea of you either win or you learn. Hear that, everyone? You
yeah,
win or you learn. There's no losing. There's no failing.
yeah. And I
So
found the faster as a business owner, the faster I could remember that and answer that in a launch, in a campaign, in a cohort, in a whatever I was experiencing, promoting or fulfilling on. If something didn't go quite like I expected, it's like, okay, what did I learn? And
hmm
then the most important question right after that is, what will I do differently?
yeah,
And that kept me perpetuating forward instead of getting drugged back into the fear.
yes, yes. I think a similar version of for me, what's been happening over time is realizing how much um, performing well was just been the back like in the back the narrative in the back or backstage just constantly years of doing a podcast and really realizing wow I'm like I put pressure on myself to perform well and what's changed over time is realizing you just said something that made me think of this is I don't need to perform well. I need to be fully present and lock in to what comes through. And ultimately,
Yes.
that creates the best outcome, whether we call it performance or what I don't like to call it performance anymore, is more like the presence of like just create,
Yeah.
co-creating, creating and co-creating something because of a state of being. Well, I guess I
Yeah.
just went back to where you started instead of doing, instead of performing,
Create from
instead of
being.
this like
Yeah.
worry, perfectionist monster, like looking and taunting.
Yeah. And it was something that because my heart seems to lead really well. I've learned I got to bring my brain along, or else it's going to get real ugly real fast. And so, one of my coaches a few years ago, he was he was on my podcast, and he talked about in my episode. He talked about the four levels of consciousness. I had never heard it put this way. I mean, this has been around forever and ever and ever, and he wasn't the originator of it. But the four levels of consciousness, and the first level is to me, victim, right? Life happens to me. I don't take responsibility. I can't do anything about it. I can't launch my promotion in Christmas time and the holidays. Nobody signs up for anything. And like, what it's happening to me, I can't do anything about it. Level two is by me. There's where that mantra comes in. If it's got to be, it's up to me. I loved that one for a long time. And then that one's necessary. We don't want to skip it because we learn what we're capable of in that level two consciousness. But if we set up camp there and hang out there forever, that's where burnout happens. But level three is through me. And you just said that. If I can be present and be in the moment, what comes through me. And that's where that state of flow happens. And then the fourth one is as me, that's oneness. Whole nother episode topic right there.
hmm
But when my brain could have the words and the labels of, oh, I've been operating in by me really well, put like a pink bow around it, and I didn't, I took care of myself there with self-care. Now I want to operate in through me. And how can success, creation, magic come through me? And that's where I'm at right now today.
Hmm. How how do you find it is to get your clients who are high performers to make that mindset shift to um you know like for me, instead of I'm gonna like sit at my computer or I'm gonna do this research, versus I'm gonna go for a run, I'm gonna go for a hike, and I am going to just be aware of what comes through, as not only as self-care, which is one of the many things on your list, but also as a way of this flow. It's I mean it's like it's self-care, but it's also this, it's part of the creative process.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I talk about two different things in my book, and so for the high performers that I work with, we look at these two elements. It's not one comes first and then but it's just we'll eventually get to both of them. And one of them is the create without burnout cycle. Most people, when they start on a project, doesn't matter what it is, for work, in your house, it doesn't matter. You start on a project, you start at the beginning, and the gal, Michelle Falzone, my friend, she's the one that created this. And when she taught this to me, I'm like, oh, I'm missing one important element. Most people are missing three important elements. But you start at what she calls saturate, where you're collecting, gathering, researching, you're getting an understanding of whatever the project is. Most people then, when they're like, okay, I'm ready, let's do this, they go straight to create, output. Oh my gosh, I'm done. That was awesome. Back to saturate. Okay, what's next? Let me get some more. Next thing, whatever. Back to create, output, saturate, create, saturate, create. That's the rut of burnout right there. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And what she, when she draws this model, it's a circle. After you saturate, you gather, you get ready, you do whatever you need before for the project. Like you said, then you percolate. That's the step that most everybody misses. Percolate, step away. Maybe it's 1 minute. Maybe you just kind of turn around and look out the window for a few breaths. Maybe it's take for your dog for a walk. Maybe it's come back to it tomorrow. Maybe it's work on a different project. But you percolate, and that step is so vital because it's allowing your intellect, your intuition to assimilate, your subconscious to assimilate, connect dots that your brain alone could not connect. And so from percolate, then you drop into create. You're like, okay, now all of me, body, mind, heart, soul, spirit, energy, everything is ready for output. You do the output. Then these are the other two steps most people forget. Celebrate. I don't care if it's
Yes.
call a girlfriend
Yeah.
or woohoo or whatever, however I love dance breaks. I would often do a dance break. Celebrate and then rejuvenate. How do you fill yourself back up? So before you start the cycle again, you're not giving from the overflow. I mean, you're not giving from depletion. You're giving from the overflow. And so that cycle is what allows us as high performers to be in that constant, sustainable output flow because we're not only focused on output, we know the other elements in that cycle that help us have the best output. And then the beautiful thing about it, when we live in that state, follow that cycle, our output becomes amplified, usually happens quicker, takes a lot less effort. So now we're able to get more done. We can
Mhm.
accomplish more things with doing less effort. And it's beautiful. We still get to be the high performers, control freaks, high expectation people that we are when we follow this particular cycle. And that's where the percolate, the rejuvenate, that's where that self-care comes in
Mhm.
for sure. But then to also weave in when we're researching, when we're in the state of output, when how can we weave self-care into every one of those stages?
Do you find yourself over time? have you found yourself having more difficulty taking credit for things? And the reason I
Yeah,
say this is
I don't
when
create things. Yeah.
when you get to level 3 and the through you, yes, you end up creating something, producing something, and it has an impact. And then people say, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing what you created and what the impact was." And that internal experience shifts over time, right?
Yeah, it does. And then you don't have to, like, validation is different. Like, if we go to victim level 1 consciousness, validation, uh, that they're they're yearning for it. Level 2, validation is what gives them purpose. Level 3, we don't need validation. That disappears. And so it's an interesting journey with that as well. But it's when we think about that through me level of consciousness, living at that level, our experience is very different. And then we make modifications, like, that create without burnout cycle. That's my friend Michelle's. Like, she teaches that's her creation of all the work she's done with her clients. I modified it. I'm like, Michelle, I don't actually think you start at saturate. I think you back up a step. I start at rejuvenate. I always make sure I am filled up energetically, emotional. I'm giving of the overflow before I ever start that saturate, research, gather, collect, learn. Then I know, even in that, because that's kind of an energy output stage, I'm not ever going to experience that depletion, that
Mhm.
fumes, that
Yeah.
sputtering. And so I actually start mine on rejuvenate. And then I go through that same cycle. And so we learn how to modify things and weave it into what we're experiencing. But there's not a lot that's new in this world.
No, no. But something is newer for you. And during this
Yeah.
process, what came through you, I imagine, is the idea of being a sound healing practitioner. Something pulled you into this world.
Yeah. That has been an interesting discovery. One of my, when I teach, the other thing that I teach our students are the different categories of self care. And I really have them look at and have a different relationship with self care, right? Self care, most people, especially high performers, especially perfectionists, most people see self care as a luxury, a reward. Oh, well, when I have a successful launch, then I'll do a nice thing for myself. No, high performers know that self care is a strategic advantage, because if I can take care of me and I can bring all of me, not sputter, not burn out, then I can give even more of me, and everybody around me benefits. Rising tide lifts all boats, right? And so I talk about self care in the different categories, and they learn what those categories are, what those activities and actions are for them. And so one of my go-to for several years now has been singing bowls. I actually have them. I don't know if this is going to be on video, but
Yeah,
there's
this is video.
some of
There they are.
my some of
Yeah.
them set up right there.
Yep.
And so I love the Tibetan singing bowls. They look like brass bowls, and I've used them for the past 4 or so years. I got my first one like 20 years ago, but it was just pretty, and I kind of played with it every now and then. But 4 years ago, I was really drawn to it. I use it for relaxation, meditation. I like meditating. I find that when I sit quietly, my brain can go haywire if I'm not careful. So using the bowls in meditation helps keep my brain centered and grounded without going crazy. And I've been doing that for 4 years. One of my bowls, I won't get too deep into all the elements of it, but one of the bowls, the tone that it plays corresponds with this area, this energy center in this part of your body, the throat
Throat
chakra.
chakra. Yeah.
And the throat chakra. And so when I was writing my last two books, I had that bowl, and I would play that bowl, make it sing a lot, to make sure I was keeping this clear.
Your
So what
voice.
I wanted
That's
to
your voice.
express
Yeah.
and communicate, it could come out. So I didn't have to deal with that blinking cursor on the screen that plagues a lot of writers. And so I use my bowls in that way as well. And earlier this year, there was just this, I love my bowls. When I ask myself that question every day, what is it that I want to experience that's going to raise my vibration so I can be that level of being I want to be at? The singing bowls is that for me. And so I just was drawn to them. And earlier this year, I went to the gal that I go to for private sessions and group sessions. And I was like, Shirley, I want to learn like what I'm actually doing. Like, I'm just doing this intuitively. I don't actually know what I'm doing. And so I've been learning to do that. And as I've been on that journey, becoming an actual practitioner, helping create the container and the experience for others to experience that level of beingness, I'm like, well, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is part of it right here.
You're locking in.
Yeah.
On your latest Nudge newsletter that I explored,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
talked about the 3 words from your training, and that completely
Mm.
resonated with me personally and in the work that I do: intention, intuition, and integrity. And as I heard those and sat with them, I was thinking about, gosh, the process and your process from external success, reward, milestones, forcing, grinding, if it's got to be done, it's all me, to the more internal and depth of self cultivation that you have
Hmm.
just been continuing to explore and experience, and how it just brings it all back out to the next level, or if that's even a level or iteration of what your own personal experience in the world, but also then what you're going to be bringing to others in the world as a result.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this universal truth. I believe it's a universal truth. Our outer world follows our inner world. Our outer world follows our inner world. And so this work cultivates our inner beingness, because when there's alignment and integrity there, the outer world is a lot easier and more magical and more fun to create and experience. And then it's not that efforted push, force,
Mm,
make. It's a lot of it becomes a co-creation. A lot of it comes to
mm,
you. Now there's still tasks and activities and work to be done, but it's sourced, like I said earlier, from a different place. And so our outer world follows our inner world. And most people, when they look around at their business or a project or a launch or a family or you name it, when they look around at their external world and they're like, I don't like that, I want that to be different, the first place they go to is to change that, whatever that is. And that's a hard road, because
mhm,
that's a hard thing to change. But when we create through intention, integrity, and intuition, and we work on the inner beingness of ourselves,
mhm.
like through with the sound bowls or walking your dog or Pilates or Tai Chi or jujitsu or fishing or whatever it is, when you cultivate that beingness, now the creation aspect of it flows better beyond our wildest dreams.
As above, so below, right?
Yeah.
The connection. And I really like how you have articulated it of, the outside follows the inside, and we are all
Yeah.
programmed, and the marketing and the social media, it's all for the outside. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, there's
It is.
the other stuff that hopefully we can follow, that that fills us up and expands us. But the pull, like, we have to resist the teaching, the programming that we get just inundated with, of just buy this, just get this, just look like this, and all of a sudden everything inside is going to feel better, and everyone knows that it doesn't matter, it doesn't feel better. And so what you're talking about, what we're talking about, is this intentional inner cultivation and work. And there's so many ways to do it. I mean, in your book, you have so many different ways to practice self-care, and self-care is inner work. As you said, this isn't just go get a massage. You can be a massage, but this is
Yeah.
well beyond the idea of just go get a massage.
Yes. Yeah. It's beyond, you know, when I say self-care, a lot of people think massages and manicures. That's the first two things that most
Yeah.
people talk about. And it's like, yeah, that's nice. That feels good. I'm not talking about just feel good. Yes, it does feel good. And what I'm talking about is the reason that we integrate self-care activities and experiences is to cultivate that inner being aspect of ourselves.
Hmm.
And for some high achievers, um, you know, if they have been used to that level two consciousness, that by me mode, then when we get involved in self care activities, it feels like, well, I can't slow down. I can't let my foot off the gas. Things are going to fall apart. I'm going to fail. And so they misinterpret self care for slow down, take your foot off the gas. I don't mean take your foot off the gas. I love my foot on the gas. I love generating money and wealth, and I love creating success and big impact in all the ways you can measure it. And where is it sourced from? And so I talk about create a calibrated internal energy state, and then choose your aligned actions from that
Yes.
place.
Yes. Yes. I just heard the Mike Dooley right there. Right. The alignment. Yeah,
I
I
do
thought
love
that.
Mike Dooley. I
I
do
knew. I
love
thought you
my
start your
notes
day
from
with
the
that.
universe.
Yes,
Yeah,
the aligned
yeah,
action or inspired action, I think you
yeah.
might say.
I think he says inspired action. Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um, yeah, so much possibility, and it is a bit of a paradox. It is. I use this word, the counterintuitiveness, and I think it's a call. It's an invitation for everyone tuning in to think about what would happen if they stopped grinding, if they stopped forcing, if they stopped even achieving in the way that they know to achieve, and realize that
Mhm.
they can slow down, or as you wrote about, as an example of the person who learned that he could walk around the wall instead of keep trying to go through the wall. Like there's so many
Yeah.
ways to do this, and I think it starts for most of us with the courage and the contemplation or even the pre-contemplation of I'm open to thinking about this differently, or I'm open to doing something differently to create that space for something to come in, even if we don't know what it yet is.
Yeah. Whenever I create desire lists. And whenever I create those lists, I always at the bottom, I put dot, 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 or better. And that's how I stay detached. It's how I keep my vision expanding. Like, this is what I know. Here's what I kind of think this is what I want or what I want to experience, who I want to be or do or have. And I'm open. Dot, 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 or better. What else I'm not even aware of? It's not even on my radar. And so I always want to make room for the universe to dazzle me. And
Mm,
so that's why I put that dot, 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 or better. And when we can do that in our lives, you know, a lot of high performers that I coach and I talk with, they mistakenly have this belief. I haven't figured out where it's rooted from. I don't know that I need to. Part of me doesn't even care. I just want to identify it. But they have this mistaken belief that, well, if I'm going to create space for what's next, or if I'm going to slow down, or if I'm going to work on the inside of me, that, you know, then my foot comes off the gas and I things will crumble and fall around, or I'll have to set lower goals so that I can slow down and create space. And I am not talking about that. I am talking about keeping your high expectations, keeping those high goals, those targets. Do not lower the bar just so you can create space or have a no, no, no. This is we keep those high expectations, and the what allows us to keep those high expectations is because we introduce this concept the self-care as a strategic advantage, not an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want you to hear me saying, all of our listeners here, please don't hear me say, well, you got to make smaller money goals, or would just set a smaller launch target and you can do this. It'll be like, I am not saying that at all. Keep those high expectations, keep those high targets, and integrate self-care as that advantage that helps you get there, and then sustain it for 20 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
however long you want to be doing what you're doing. Now you have the choice. Burnout isn't choosing it for you.
There it is. There it is. Choose, choice, possibility, um, internal growth, exploration, sitting, contemplating, and listening to beautiful sounds. What's one thing that you are expanding yourself into as we wind down here?
One thing I'm expanding myself into, um, well, right now, the sound healing practitioner, that modality, and redefining what sound healer. When I first hear that word healer, it's like I, as a healer, am doing something to you, and now you're healed. And that's on this journey. What I've learned is that is not absolutely what's happening at all. I'm creating, through the mechanism of the bowls, I'm creating a container and a state of being for you to be in, so that your body, your mind, your heart, your energy can do whatever it needs to do, and just creating that container. And so it's really about cultivating that inner container. I've been cultivating my own inner container, and now I'm helping others cultivate theirs, and creating the space for them to do that exploration as well.
Beautiful. I'm excited to see what's to come from all of this. Not in a doing sort of way, but in a being sort of
Yeah.
way, and see what unfolds.
In both.
Yes. So tell everyone where they can find the nudge, your newsletter, all of your everything you're involved in, which is quite a bit.
Yeah, you can go to two places. You can go to melindacohan.com. It's Melinda Cohan, COHAN.com. On there, you can I have sustainable success nudges from your future self. And so it's just a little weekly whisper into your ear, as if I'm sitting on your shoulder, reminding you about the state of being, and how to keep cultivating that. And would love to I'd be an honor to share those nudges with you. You can also go to sustainablesuccessbook.com and get the book, where I go deeper into all these conversations that we've had here. And when you go there, you can get the book, and then you'll see the menus in the upper left. I've also created a complimentary companion guide that I'm happy to gift you as a gift, so you can grab that there as well.
Thank you for sharing your experience and your wisdom with us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Melinda continues to create, to be passionate about her work, and to teach us all how to have it all while practicing self-care. Here are 5 key takeaways from our conversation. Number 1, make sure you are painted into the picture of your own life. It's possible to create something that looks beautiful and successful from the outside while feeling disconnected or invisible within it. Sustainable success begins by asking whether the life you are building still includes you. Number 2, the earliest warning sign of burnout may be the loss of joy. Burnout does not begin when we collapse from exhaustion. It often begins much earlier, when the work we are meant to do no longer feels alive, meaningful, or joyful, and we continue forcing ourselves forward anyway. Number 3, self-care is not a reward, it's a strategic advantage. Caring for yourself does not mean lowering your standards or taking your foot off the gas. It means protecting the energy, creativity, presence, and resilience that allow you to perform at your highest level over time. Number 4, you either win or you learn. Perfectionism is often driven by fear, while excellence leaves room for experimentation, mistakes, and growth. When something does not go as planned, ask what you learned and what you will do differently. And number 5, create from being, not only from doing. Research, effort, and action still matter, but our best work often emerges when we also make room to percolate, listen, rejuvenate, and allow something greater to move through us. Our outer world often follows the inner state from which we create. Well, that is a lot for us to take in, internalize, consolidate, percolate, listen, rejuvenate, and allow something greater to move through us. We are interested in what you think about this episode, so please feel free to leave us a comment at Dr. Dan Peters on Instagram or reply to any of our social posts. Thank you for being a part of this community. Please share this with anyone and everyone you think will benefit. Thank you for your 5-star reviews and for subscribing. And as always, we have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan is produced by Amber Miller. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Uplifting Folk by Awesome Music. Artwork by Kelly Dwyer. Follow us on social media at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, visit drdanpeters.com.